Here we go. Hello, everyone. Um, I'm Taylor, and I'm doing yoga today. Surprise for people on Facebook. I know I had just posted about it being on Instagram, but I decided now that my computer is up and running again, why not put it on Facebook too? Um, Today's sequence, I would like for it to be half an hour. I'm gonna start at 6:05. I tend to just give a few minutes for people to um, come in, sort out a little, technical difficulties or anything like that before we get going. But it will be 30 minutes. Don't worry, I won't deprive you of all of this goodness that is to follow. I ran a little short on time, so I actually did my makeup and then decided just to stay in my work clothes. But I also think that's a great thing about yoga too, is that it's not something that you have to have yoga clothes for, right? It's meant to be this mind body connection, and so like you can do it in any attire, right? So it works out really well. Let me go ahead and check what's happening here. Sorry guys. And okay, and so thanks, Ems. And so what we're gonna do is today is a heart opening sequence. For some reason, I really had a certain pose in mind, and I had just been thinking about it all day. And I was like, you know what? If I'm thinking about it all day, that means I should be doing it today. Today's the day to do it. And I was trying to create things around it, and that was the rough part, was trying to create a sequence around it. But I did, and I'm really excited for us to open our hearts, our heart chakra. The heart chakra is supposed to be okay. Is stored, so it's really a good time to just open that up, right, and to let the love and the acceptance and compassion flow through your body. And if nothing else, it's a good time to breathe and stretch, right? So really, either way you win. So with that, I think I can go ahead, now that I gave my little spiel, I think we can go ahead and get started. So if you shouldn't need anything for today's sequence, I'm going to put my little notes here in the corner, other than yourself. If you're feeling particularly stiff and stuff, or if you're feeling particularly nervous, don't worry. I tend to give a lot of adaptations, a lot of variations, a lot of space for us to do what feels good in our body. And I can't emphasize that enough. We're looking for a nice, good stretch, nothing painful, nothing difficult, just really inviting a lot of movement into your body, and allowing yourself to breathe and feel the oxygen go through your body. All right? So with that, if you haven't already, roll out your mat. If you don't have a mat, go ahead and take a seat on the ground. Totally fine. Many people have done yoga just on the ground, or they've used a towel or a blanket to give themselves a little more cushion. And let's go ahead and start our practice. So actually today, we're going to start out standing at the top of our mat. So let's go ahead and get going here. The top of your mat be the short side of your mat if you have one. If not, you can just stand where you are. No big deal. All right. So we're here standing at the top of our mat in mountain pose. You have your feet about hips width apart. Weight evenly distributed between both legs, and also between the four corners in each foot, right? So it really should just be a very even, very nice weight distribution going on your feet here. Of course, your legs are straight, but they're not locked in tight. You just got a little bit of a bend here, a little bit of a give, as it were. Your hips stacked above your knees, which are stacked above your ankles, right? So you've got a nice flow upward going here. Activate your abs, right? As well as kind of keep your tailbone, like, I almost want to say, like, pushed forward. Not quite pushed forward, but just in activating the abs, it'll tend to push your hips a little bit forward as well. Shoulders nice and away from the ears. Nice long spine, neck and extension of the spine. And you'll have your hands out to the side here. So now we've really taken a moment to just stand. So let's take that in, right? Let's close our eyes, and you'll just breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. It's a good time to just focus on your breath here. Very nice. Now on your next inhale, go ahead and swing your arms up overhead. And bring your hands down to heart center. Let's do it again. Inhale up, arms up. And exhale, hands down to heart center. Last one, inhale up. And exhale, hands down to heart center. Now this time, we're going to inhale with our arms up, and we're going to clasp our left arm, our left wrist with our right hand. All right, so I'm actually going to come down here just so you can see it, but please stay in a standing position. This is just for you to be able to see what happens, right? If you need to see it, maybe you're good, right? So we'll inhale up, and your left hand, oh, still can't see because I'm really, really tall. That's okay, but it should look something like this, right? But your hands are up, inhale up. Then we'll just exhale out here, going back to stand. Inhale. And on your exhale, go ahead and lean your upper body to the right, really inviting a nice gentle stretch on the left side of your body. And on your next inhale, come up to the center. And on your next inhale, go ahead and switch your arms so that your left hand is grasping your right wrist. And on your exhale, go ahead and lean to the other side. And on an inhale, go ahead and come back up. And exhale, you can bring your hands back down to heart center. We'll go ahead and do it again here. So inhale, bring your arms up. Left arm, left hand grasping your right arm. Lean to your right. On an exhale. And on your inhale, come back up. Change hands and exhale to your left. Inhale, come on up. You could just keep your hands grasped in the center if you'd like. We'll do this one more time. So we'll exhale to our right. Inhale up. Exhale to your left. And inhale up. And this time we'll just keep our lower body nice and engaged, and we'll take a nice your inhale here, and then on your exhale, this nice small little back bend, just arching your back foot a little bit. And on an inhale, come on up. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right, so now that we're here, next we will do one more inhale, arms up, overhead, and exhale down into forward fold. Nice generous bend in the knees. It's our first forward fold of the day, so your hands are down on the mat. However much bend you need in your knees is perfectly acceptable. You'll probably find your stomach and or your chest touching your thighs, and that is a great place to be. We'll just breathe here. Take a couple breaths. We'll come up, straighten the back out into halfway lift on an inhale. So just nice flat back here. And exhale back down into forward fold. So go ahead and take your right foot back into a lunge. And if you need to, feel free to move your left foot over just a little bit. And bring your right foot down onto the mat here. Might mean you have to bring yourself in a little bit so that you have some weight bearing on your right foot. So your left foot should be pointing forward and your right foot should be pointing to the side. All right. And then on your next inhale, you've got a nice bend here. So come on up into Warrior One. Your hips are allowed to be pointing toward the angle of, toward the corner of the mat here, right? Give yourself a nice bend here in your front knee, back knee engaged, right? And hands overhead. Knit your ribs down and breathe. On your next exhale, go ahead and bring your hands down to heart center. And we're just going to come and you're going to take your left elbow. Is it going to work? Yeah, you're going to take your left elbow and you're going to bring it down by your left knee here. If this is your first time doing it, I would say to go ahead and just put a little bit, just a little tiny bit of weight on your knee here, but you really should just kind of have it be like a little light touch. And the point, and keep your hands in the middle of your chest here. It's supposed to really open up your chest area here. And breathe. And on an exhale, go ahead and bring your hands back to either side of your left foot. And bring your right foot up to meet your left, so we're back into a forward fold. We'll take a second here to breathe. On an inhale, halfway lift. Exhale down. And we will take this time now to bring our left foot back to prepare for the lunge. So your left foot should be perpendicular to your right on the back here, and there should be some good weight bearing on your left foot. All right, got a good angle. At most, your knees should be stacked by your ankle here. You're allowed to have a wider stance, but please don't make a narrower one. All right, and so we're here, we're ready, and on an inhale, bring your arms up into Warrior One for the other side. Remember to breathe. And on your next exhale, go ahead and bring your hands down to heart center. Nice deep breath in, and on your breath out, go ahead and just bring yourself to one side here. You can look up if you'd like, or if being down brings you more centered, feel free to do so. And on an exhale, bring your hands to either side of your right foot, and then bring your left foot up to meet the right, and we're back into a forward fold. Take a couple breaths here. You might notice with each time you get a little more flexible, right? It's a little more attainable. And if not, that's perfectly acceptable as well. And so we're going to take this time here to go ahead and get on our hands and knees for cat-cow. All right, so with cat-cow, We're going to make sure that we're in a good tabletop position. So our wrists are stacked in front of our elbows. Stacked on top of our elbows, which is stacked in front of our shoulders. And I need to move my hips out a little bit. And with your knees stacked below your hips here, so you've got some space to move, to play with here. All right? And so then we'll start out in cow. So on an inhale, you're trying to reach your belly down toward the mat. Hips end up heading up toward the sky. Neck and extension of the spine. And an exhale, we're going to go into cat. Curve the spine and let your head hang down low. We'll inhale into cat. And inhale into cow, and exhale. There for a long time, but it's all right. And so then what we'll do is we'll come up here so we're at a kneeling position like so. And then from our kneeling position, we're going to go into camel pose today. So you'll make sure that your knees are underneath you, right? So that's like about hips width apart there to support you, and your legs will come straight out behind you. You'll have your it's like your hips are pushed out a bit more, but you don't want them beyond your legs, right? It's like at like the front of your legs until like the front of your thighs type situation. Now, if this is your very first time doing camel pose, right, you've got your hands on your lower back here. You'll take a nice deep breath in and trying not to move your hips too far forward. You'll go ahead and try and just bend back and let your head hang back. You might find yourself going pretty far. You might find yourself just making a slight movement here. But you have that, your hands almost act as a sort of support on to your lower back, right? Allowing you to get a nice small back bend here. If you find yourself going pretty deep, you can put one hand back to support you with your ankle. And if you find yourself going deeper still, you might be able to get both hands back to support your ankle and let your head hang loose. Don't forget to breathe. And on your next inhale, bring up, release one arm and then the other if you went into a full camel. If not, feel free to just come back up and have your hands support your back. And meet me in a seat. So the seat is just for a second, just to say that we're going into a kind of cool down phase here. So you can think about that. We'll do a little more ab stuff and then on to corpse pose. So even for this point, thank you so much for joining me even up to this point. Okay, so next we will have our feet on the mat, our legs are at an angle, and we'll roll our backs down to meet the mat. All right, then from here, I'm gonna scoot myself up so that my bottom meets my heels, but you can also bring your heels in close to your bottom. They don't have to touch. All right. And so from here we're gonna go into bridge pose. So you'll keep your shoulder blades. I was gonna say like tucked under you so that they're flat against the mat. And on an inhale, you'll try and roll your body up. And in an exhale, you'll bring your hips back down. All right, this might be easy for some of you, so you can add a little bit more of a challenge and bring your knees a little your heels a little farther out to add a little bit more of an ab work to this, okay? So next time we're gonna go ahead and we'll inhale and up and we'll hold. All right, so here we go. So inhale, hips up, and hold. And on an exhale, slowly, vertebra by vertebra, bring your hips down to touch the mat. We'll do our last one here. If you find that it's a bit tough, you can go ahead and just don't focus on getting your hips up, but focus on making sure your knees stay separate when you try to lift. Sometimes for me, if I haven't warmed up a lot, that's what I'll focus on, and my hips won't get very far off the ground. They'll get maybe this far off, but focusing on keeping my knees out rather than caving them in helps a lot. So last time through, inhale, hips up. If you're looking for more of a challenge, you can try to bring your arms together underneath you, and that will also open up your heart a bit more, and we'll hold. And on your next exhale, if you've chosen to clasp your hands, unclasp them, and slowly roll yourself back. Roll your hips back down onto the mat. So from here, go ahead and you can have your arms a little bit away from your sides, palms up to invite opportunity and goodness from the universe. Palms down if you're feeling more introspective. And we'll let one leg slide down onto the ground, and then the other for corpse pose. This is a great time to check in with your breath, check in with your body. How does it feel today? It's a good chance to just breathe. Your body works hard for you every day. I'll take this time to invite you to invite some movement into your body. So just by wiggling your fingers and toes. Maybe invite a little more. Moving your arms, your legs. If you're like me, moving my hips always feels good. And when you're ready, go ahead and roll over onto one side and use your hands to help you come up to a seat. And away we go. I want to take this moment to thank you for, I guess, including me in your practice. Thank you for following along or even just watching as I go through a nice heart-opening sequence here. A little bit, some easier poses and some more complicated poses in there as well. I hope you were able to enjoy it today. The light in me sees the light in you. Namaste. I'll be hanging around for another minute or two, so if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to let me know. Thank you. Almost 25 minutes today. Yay, I'm so glad you think so. Thanks, Ems. Glad I could give you some relief. I'll go ahead and sign off. If anyone wants to leave any comments or anything, that's great. Thank you so much for tuning in, Ems. I appreciate it. Have a good night.